On this episode of ResiWeek, we talk AV Junction adding freelancers to AV, Portal adds Origin to its select offerings, and what tech at CES can mean for you. All this and more on this episode of ResiWeek.
The network for the AV industry.
What are you listening to?
This
is AV.
This
is AVNation.
This is AVNation.
This is ResiWeek episode 98, Entrepreneurial Seizures.
Support for AVNation is brought to you by Middle Atlantic, what great systems are built on, and by HD Base Tea.
Welcome to ResiWeek. This is your weekly wrap-up of all the latest news and stories for the residential AV industry. I'm your host, Matt D. Scott for AVNation.tv, and today I'm pleased to be joined by Jeremy Glowacki. He is the Managing Director of Content for Residential Systems. How are you, sir?
I'm doing well. Thank you for spitting out that new title, which is a lot of words, and it's all modern, fancy publishing words.
Aren't it, though?
We don't call ourselves editors anymore. We're just content. Yes.
Content managers.
Yes.
There's nothing wrong with being a content manager.
No, I'm just getting used to it. Yeah, I know. Well, my wife's in PR, and she said that the titles they use in their company are not the ones they use in the outside because no one on the outside would understand what they are. Like if you're looking for a job or something. So I don't know if managing director is going to resonate with the outside world if I'm ever looking to be an editor elsewhere someday. But maybe we're the ones that are behind the curve getting there.
I think it's really big in the UK. Everyone's a managing director. So
I know, that's what I thought. I thought it sounded very British. So.
Very worldwide. There's nothing wrong with that. I should make up a title. I'm going to make up a new title. And when Tim sees this, he'll tell me I can't have a title, but I'll make one up anyways. The gentleman you heard right there is Mitchell Klein. He is the executive director of the Z-Wave Alliance, which we talked about last week. How are you, sir?
I'm doing fabulous. And it's always great to be here, especially with such extinguished guests.
Extinguished. Is that just because it's so close to the holidays? No one has any energy?
I got plenty of energy. I'll tell you, with CES coming up right after the holidays are anything but relaxing if you're involved in it. If you just go as an attendee, it's great. But if you participate, and we do with like 5,000 square foot exhibit, I'll tell you, there's no relaxing at all. So no, plenty of energy.
One of these days I will actually make that trip, but not.
Hey, Mitch, this year I'm not going. I've been for the past 5 years, and I had a short break in between after 5 years of going. I'm having a phantom limb experience over this approaching holiday season where I keep having a little mini panic attack, like, oh God, I got to go to CES after the holidays, but I don't. It's built into me now. I can't get out of it. It's like,
who am I going to drink my bourbon with, Jeremy?
I know. The Fireball, right? Remember that?
Awesome. All right, gentlemen, let's kick this off with a story that comes to us from Residential Systems. AV Junction aims to be the Uber of our industry. Just launched this week, AV Junction is an online marketplace for AV talent for freelancers and integration firms can connect with one another to complete work. This is an interview from Matt over at Resi Systems with the CEO, Paul Weatherfield. Gentlemen, this is kind of a new deal for our industry. We have not yet seen the application of freelancers to the extent that the IT world has. In the IT world, there's been things like Work Market and other platforms where you have some IT skills, enter those skills online, you can get connected and not necessarily bid on jobs, but get opportunities and express interest in work and pick up everything from a 1 hour project to, in some cases, months of work doing things. I know my personal company did some work with one of those firms for years and replaced networks and WAPs, and I was able to keep a bunch of guys busy for quite a while doing this on a national chain here in Canada. But we have not seen this in the residential space in a long time, or not in a long time, ever, to my knowledge. Jeremy, let's start with you on this. because this has existed for so long in the IT world, how is this just now making it into the residential space?
Well, I mean, technically, I think this company's pretty focused on the Avixa Infocom side to begin with. It looks like from Matt's interview with them that they're really, a lot of the certifications they're looking for are Avixa Infocom certifications, Crestron and Extron on that commercial side. So I believe it's kind of maybe a little early to say Resi, even though we published it on Resi. I just felt like,
they will be at ISC.
And they're at ISC, true. So yeah, there's an overlap there. But I guess it's just the, it's that business sophistication or lack thereof in our channel at times. I mean, we're a little late to get to things that seem pretty obvious. There's a lot of entrepreneurial small business owners who do things pretty independently. They probably don't, think to use resources the way IT uses them necessarily. I think as we see the IT community kind of evolve into AV, and we have seen that over the years a lot more, there's going to be a lot more of a comfort level with that sort of resource, I believe. But I would say that it's probably just a continuation of that challenging. We don't know how to run our businesses all the time the way we should. I hate to say it, but that's always the lament, in our business, in our industry.
I always wonder if it's so much that we don't know how to run our business per se, but more so that we can't see, dare I say, the forest for the trees because we're so caught up in that day to day.
Right.
Mitchell, is this what Jeremy was saying as far as maybe the lack of sophistication in the industry and politely on both the Resi and at times the commercial side? If you're not, what was Sharps or Whitlock or one of those huge Avixa firms, if you're the smaller mom and pop shop, is this that side where you just didn't realize that there's a whole community of, freelancers essentially that are out there? Or is it because so often we feel in our little AV world that no one else is actually knowledgeable enough, if they don't already work for a company, that there isn't anyone else out there who can go and install a panel or do some programming or whatever that is?
Yep. Sorry. No, first of all, I mean, Jeremy's point is absolutely accurate that the focus and everything I've read about them is really on the commercial side. And I don't know that it's lack of sophistication, but when you talk about the residential side, the relationships are very, very different. So if I'm sending someone in to do a job that I've hired off of this Uber thing, and by the way, I'll get into the credentialing in a moment, but that person is going to be talking directly with my customer. Whereas in a commercial environment, you may be talking with a project manager, an IT person, and so on and so forth, but you're not necessarily talking with the person you made the arrangements with and that you're really being held accountable to. So that's a piece of it that I think that a residential dealer is going to be a bit hesitant to relinquish. Now, if it's just to help me carry the heavy stuff in, and I'm there anyway, I think that's a home run. Absolutely, if I'm there to supervise it or one of my guys is there to supervise it. But if it's strictly, as this one of the compelling points was, that it's for a remote project where you don't have staff, I'm not so sure how comforting I am between that. And of course, the credentialing, which was like, well, if they have these credentials and if I can talk to them and they are human beings, can you fog a mirror and are you in or not? I know I have a bit of a concern about that. So
on that point though, what will it take in the residential space? Because we've seen and CD has talked about this, everyone's talked about the labor shortage and the fact that it's hard to find qualified people, and half the time when you find a qualified person, you can't necessarily onboard them because you might not have enough work for them continually going forward. I would I would have a hard time not thinking that the ability to add an extra guy or an extra girl here or there, an extra person at times would not be highly beneficial to dealers and integrators. What is going to allow that to happen? Because they do it with everyone else.
Yeah,
They
don't
do
get
it
me
with
wrong.
construction.
I think what they're doing is terrific. Okay, they have a lot of challenges ahead. What they're doing is terrific, because it's really the direction that the industry needs to go, and it's the variable on the credentialing. So, if the article in Resi Systems, the interview talks about someone who's focused on AV. Well, got news for you. You got to understand networking as well.
Yeah.
And, so even though you may know AV, if you send a guy with if they know AV, how do you know they know anything about networking? Again, I'm not throwing objections into the pile. I'm saying these are the aha moments that as this platform develops, I think it's a good thing. And I would love to see this be successful, because I agree.
I think there's a labor
in any business.
I think there's a labor shortage in a lot of businesses. It used to be specific to our channel. It seemed like now it seems like a lot of the construction trades and plumbers and everybody else seems to have a hard time finding trained, qualified types of people to come in and add to the workforce. But it's one of the things I kind of observed over the years too is it seems like anybody that's in this industry for any length of time thinks that they need to run their own business as well. So you go from I can't find any good people to hire. It's because they think that they need to be their own boss. They need to own their own shop. So as soon as they're have a little bit of qualification, they become a one-man band or a two-person band, and so you got a lot of little companies out there and nobody else available just to become an employee of a company. I mean, that's kind of a hot take on my part, but I see that a lot.
Well, since I love hot takes and I love slightly, shall we say, combative conversations, if that's true, and I would have a hard time disagreeing with you, is that one of the major things that's held back the industry? The fact that you do have so many one-man shops, guys that pop in and do something, start something, and only last a little while because they don't have politely any business sense. They would be a great project manager, or they'd be a great site supervisor, or they'd be a great, just basic entry-level technician. But they see that concept of, hey, I want to jump in. I want to do this myself. I want to be my own boss. Has that mind thought process directly hindered the industry?
Oh my God, of course. I think it was Michael Gerber's quote was, a lot of these guys started their businesses in the throes, or what did he call it? A fit of an entrepreneurial seizure. Where these guys are like, they're doing a great job for their boss, but their boss just doesn't get it. So I'm going to do it because I get it. And I go off on my own, but then I realize I don't really get it. But it's a lack of awareness. I think some of the guys don't know what they don't know, which is dangerous. And then, of course, there's the people that know what they don't know, and they're taking courses and they're trying to learn and grow. But again, that's what I think Jeremy was going after. And I think a good portion on the residential guys are just people that just thought they could do it better than their boss. So I'm going to start my own company and prove it to them. And maybe they're not doing it better, or maybe they are, but they're not running a business.
Yeah, I always find it interesting that so many of those companies can only last obviously for so long, but so often they can never grow beyond like a day-to-day, hey, I found a job for today and tomorrow and I don't know what I'm doing Thursday. And I think that's where, again, this software could be very effective, this AV Junction thing, because all those one-man shops or guys that are, literally just doing this as freelance, from anyone with an outside perspective. I think that's where something like this could be really effective. So we'll
It's
see
done
where it
with
goes.
programming. So, I mean, it's
Oh
certainly
yeah. Yeah, there's countless people. I know our friend Stephen Bronner, he's started doing so much outsourcing of programming, which 4 or 5 years ago was never in his business offerings. And he's become and been able to take on just a ton of programming because, again, so many guys, they just don't excel in that, we'll say, to be as polite as possible. All right, let's move on to our next story of the day. This comes to us from Strategy and Ted Green. Portal has added Origin Acoustics and has gained an exclusive on the Valet amp. Now, if you haven't been following what Portal by Supply Stream has been doing the last year or so, they've been getting into a very interesting part of the channel where with Portal Select, you're able to purchase products from a variety of manufacturers, and essentially their Portal is like a little mini Amazon for the industry. You can buy those things. You don't necessarily need to be a dealer or go through direct distribution or anything such as that. You can just go on. If you're a Portal member, you can buy from that company and make use of their products. They have since added Origin Acoustics as well as the iRoom brand as well in that deal. And specifically, they're offering exclusive access to the Valet amplification system. Now, as you read through that article, the exclusive is specific in the sense that if you are not already an Origin dealer, you can access Valet. But if you're already an Origin direct dealer, you obviously have it. So it's an exclusive yet not an exclusive, if that makes sense. Mitch, I want to start with you on this one. We're seeing, and the last story kind of talked about it, we're seeing this shift from the way business has been done in the Resi channel for so long. We're seeing a shift to things like Portal Select, where you can go get whoever, in this case Origin, without going through that 10-page dealer agreement and minimums and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, to sell that product. They're making it easier for dealers to obtain product. Is this, obviously, in my opinion, this shift is fantastic for dealers. What is this doing to the industry as a whole? What does this mean to the industry as a whole?
I think the reality is it's shifting from a product focus to a solution focused, which is really the way to go. As an installer, to start looking over all these different products, to try and put together the proper group of products. The fact that you can either be a Control 4 dealer, or you can be a URC dealer, or Savant, or others that are now going not just vertical, but horizontal and saying, here's complete solutions. I think it's brilliant. And to make dealers to go through the process of signing up and going through all the labor of getting all the paperwork in place, when if you're just simply a Portal customer, you're already pre-qualified to certain levels. Same thing with Control 4. I think it's a great thing. And I hope more and more companies are going to do exactly that.
Very good. Jeremy, what does this do? How does this impact the long-standing traditional dealer? If you think back through Jeremy's former companies, when he had Speakercraft, it was this exclusive brand that dealers everywhere wanted. And well, if you had another dealer in your market, and your market maybe didn't, the distribution channel or the manufacturers didn't think that market supported multiple dealers, you were out of luck. You didn't have a chance to get that product. What does it mean when Origin, for example, is now available to anyone technically who's a Portal dealer, and that's not hard to do? Does this assist the industry because, again, we can get it anywhere, and it, shall we say, keeps some of those traditional style dealers a little bit more honest? Or does it devalue those brands at all when now they're kind of available anywhere?
I think Origin kind of runs the risk of appearing like they're diluting their brand, but I think this is a very specific situation with the Valet product. It's not like they're opening up their entire line on Portal Select for anyone that's not a Origin dealer. This is very specific to a product that is this voice control, designed around the Echo dots, and has a very kind of almost borderline DIY kind of opportunity there. It's a way to broaden the channel, and it's, I think, a good way for the brand to expand and to grow this particular product line, which I think Jeremy really feels like is a true innovation for the channel, for the custom channel. I think that he's probably not maybe getting the sales that he wants out of that, or maybe he's just looking at all the opportunities for sales that he can get out of this product. I'm just theorizing on that, but I don't think necessarily it's, in this particular case, it's going to harm the Origin brand. People that are be part of that cult of Origin, which is like the cult of speakercraft, which there are those people, are going to kind of say that the speakers are one thing, and then this particular Valet product is another thing. It's maybe the more gimmicky option, within the line. So
it's a solution. It's a solution, and the dealer is the brand, not Origin. And Jeremy will maybe take issue with it, and you can certainly look at some of the products and say, yeah, that's brand. But this is the dealer providing a solution, and it's the dealer that is the brand here.
Well, isn't part of this, and part of, because I know I've talked with the people at Portal a lot about some of the things they're doing with Select and what their roadmap is and how they're serving people. Is this not kind of the microcosm between the older established group of dealers and industry pros who've been at this for years and love their protected brands and their protected margins and all those things, and the upstarts and the younger generation who come at things with that Amazon mindset of, why can't I just go buy this?
Well, it's similar to a distribution opportunity too. It's just more easily accessible because it's an online ordering process, and you're not going to an actual facility, to pick up something from an Avid or whatever location. But I don't think it's as it doesn't have the connotation of going distribution. The distribution may have for a brand that's not been in distribution before. If I'm understanding that correctly, the way that Portal works. It's just more of access, easier ordering process for, dealers and non-dealers. But I don't know if that answers any of that question or not.
A little bit. We'll go with that. All right, let's move to our last story of the day. We kind of hinted to this at the beginning with CES on the horizon. I will not be at CES. I'll be expecting Mitchell to give me a full report of how awesome it was or how tired he is, depending on, no, it'll be both of those, I'm pretty sure.
I think that's a yes on both parts.
Yep, pretty much. Definitely yes. This comes to us from CE Pro and Julie Jacobson. She's talking about the IoT influx that will abound at CES 2018, some of the gadgets that you're going to see, and some of the trends that are in this. I'm not going to go through the entire article other than point out this lovely retro-looking alarm clock that allows you to wake up to the smell of coffee, or I think tacos is that graphic right there that you might be able to see. But I kind of wanted to overarch this topic a little bit. And Mitch, I'll start with you on this one just because you will be there.
Smelling tacos.
Smelling tacos as you wake up.
And other things.
And definitely, it's Vegas. All kinds of things will you be smelling.
Going there.
Nope, no, not at all. When we look at CES, and we look at CES through the lens of the CEDIA channel, of the integration channel, when we see, some of the IoT devices that Julie's highlighting in this, and that will be highlighted through the rest of the pre-lead into this show, how much of this is something that we can take away and go, you know what, I may not love that exact product, That exact product may not work for me. But where is the silver lining in some of these products? Is there a silver lining in some of these products?
Yeah, Julie likes to stir the pot, as in case you didn't know.
I had
So
no
it's
idea.
quite stirred. The products that she specifically called out are among the 800 or so exhibitors that will be in a lower level of the Sands. What are they calling that again? Innovation or whatever they
Innovation
call that.
Alley or something?
I think CD called it Innovation, whatever.
I think it's
800 something.
the dungeon underneath the sands. That's what I call it.
And the uniqueness of some of the products, like for example, last year, one company showed, it was like a cat detector device, which was actually, once it finds your cat, once it's outside, it'll actually, like a magnet, just suck your cat right into it. And obviously this was intended to be tongue in cheek, and it was making fun of all these other companies that were exhibiting. And so I think a lot of people like to go there and just see, in many ways, just kind of poke at it and, just see, okay, what kind of silliness is down in that lower level. Meanwhile, in between all that stuff, you might find that gem. Now, everyone down there is looking for funding. No one there actually has a product, or very few, I should say, of a product that's going to ship. If you are an integrator, you don't go down there saying, hey, let me find a solution to one of my challenges. No. You go down there for entertainment value and maybe to go and see something that might actually be useful. You go upstairs to the main exhibit level. That's where you see the real stuff, where the products are actually, either shipping or going to ship. But at that lower level, one of the products she called out, which is a company I've met with a couple of times, was Life Door. And this is the one, without getting into detail, this is the one that will actually replace the hinge in a door inside the home. UL has already established the fact that keeping your bedroom door closed is an essential part of being safe should a fire ever break out. And no one ever closes their door to the bedroom, or rarely. And we won't get into why you would close it.
Thank you. We're trying to keep our rating.
Right. But the point is, smoke detector goes off, door closes, so on and so forth. And it's just really brilliant. And that's something you look at and go, these guys are really thinking out of the box, and they may actually find some funding and be able to bring a product to market. But don't go and pitch it. Don't put it in your proposals yet. Okay?
Right.
And this is the part that actually worries me more than anything. Is not the fact that there are 800 exhibitors down there, but dealers have a tendency to see something they think might be cool and just start selling it and presenting it. And the flip side is, what does it do for the industry? It creates unique thinking. And I don't see a downside. Yeah, there's humor in it, but what the heck? Keep going.
When I think you kind of hit on the big point is, and this is something to take away that I'll take from the first story. There is something to be said for not selling something that you haven't vetted and tested yourself within your own systems, whether that be in your own house, in a test bed or something like that. I find in residential specifically, there's a large tendency to go, oh, this is a really cool product, we're just going to sell this. And then all of a sudden you end up with a door lock that doesn't connect to the majority of systems that are in a client's home, and you spend hours trying to fix it. Not that we've ever done anything like that.
I think this also just triggers some thinking for the integration community to do their own research. Like you said, make sure you test the product before it goes in, but also just do your own research and where can you take some of these thoughts, like this lighting aspect of the quality of light for wake up and nighttime, daytime, whatever, and how it affects your mentality and mental health. There's research about that. If you want to look into it, there's higher quality products that you can get as part of becoming a lighting designer, or bringing in a lighting designer on a project. Some of the buying groups are getting into this now, where they're trying to bring in the lighting fixture world beyond just lighting control, and becoming more of a consultant advisor to these homeowners who have the money to spend to make their homes a better living experience. And then, some of this will trickle down into the mainstream. Some of these products are more intended for the mainstream, but what about the high-end version of that?
Biometric lighting is what it's being referred to.
Yeah, or circadian lighting.
And what about the smells? I mean, I haven't read anything about the smell stuff. It seems kind of crazy, but we all like to have a nice candle, in our house or something to keep it, smelling nice. And maybe there's something to that, down the road, there'll be a higher end version of that. This is kind of a little clunky sounding at the moment. This little alarm clock looks pretty silly.
I feel like Yankee Candle or Bath and Body Works will be very upset if we go into their channel and start smelling or selling scents.
Yeah, digital scents. It's in ones and zeros.
Wouldn't that be like a 5D theater though? Not only does the seat move, but you can smell the water
and it sprays
whatever.
You from the seat in front of you. It sprays, like the water seat.
Smell-o-vision?
Smell-o-vision. Smell-o-vision. We've done shows on smell-o-vision before, haven't we? I think so. I will say the one thing that I do find intriguing about this, and it came up in a previous show talking about these, smart socket things. I have always thought these were kind of the dumbest thing in the world. And it wasn't, don't look at me like that, Mitchell. I saw that. They made no sense to me from all the training I've always had when it comes to lighting control. This just seems ridiculous. And it wasn't until I had another integrator on and I asked him about these in one of Julie's articles. And he completely changed my mindset on it, on the fact that it could be a repeater, it could be a this, it could be that. There's so many opportunities that it hits that are beyond what we would normally think. And I think, to echo what Mitch was saying earlier, it's looking at these and pulling that thread, seeing what else is there. I think that's what makes it most exciting. So Mitch, for anyone who is at CES, if they want to find you guys in the Z-Wave Alliance, do you happen to have your booth number with you?
I don't think you'll need a booth number. We've got a 5,000 square foot exhibit with a home or a house that will show the ecosystem actually fully functional. And we have 34 companies exhibiting there. Oh, wow. And we are right in the front of the sands. So if you can't find us, you got other issues, to put it that way.
Very good.
Please come. And if you do come, say hello. Find me and say, hey, I saw your podcast.
Very good. If people want to connect with you, Mitchell, where can they do that other than in person at CES in the house?
So you can email me, mitch@zwavealliance.org, or you can go at Mitchell_Klein on Twitter.
Very good. Thank you so much for being here. Mr. Glowacki, Mr. Managing Director of Content.
Wow, you know better than I do.
I'm going to play that one for a while. If people want to connect with you, where can they do that?
On Twitter once in a while, ResiSys, that's SYS. And then you can email me as well, jglowacki@nbmedia.com, or visit our website, residentialsystems.com, and keep in touch with the latest news.
Hey, Jeremy.
Yes, sir.
So do you get an MD license plate then?
Oh,
yes.
You should get the fancy MD.
And I require, you must be calling me doctor now. So,
see, I've pulled that for years because my initials are MDS. So I just pulled up MD Scott, and no one believes me because they've met me. That being said, thanks again for joining us, gentlemen. For myself, if you'd like to connect with me, you can find me on Twitter at Matt D. Scott and pretty much every other social platform. But more importantly, stop by AVNation.tv. You'll find this show as well as a wide variety of our other shows with all the verticals that we cover. When you visit the website, please take a moment to check out our underwriters. We are extremely thankful for their support and ask that you support them as well. Thanks again for joining us. That's all the time we have for this episode of ResiWeek.